life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I can go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I can go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. This episode, as you saw in the intro over there, is what would we do if we ran the team? If we became owners of the Washington Commanders today, effective immediately, what would we do? So KDot and I are going to answer that because, frankly, there's nothing to talk about other than the quick little Brandon Aiyuk update and Eugene Shen leaving the team. That's basically it. It's the dead period, guys. I'm just going to level with you. So this is what we're going to do with this week's episode. And of course, the comment mailbag where we may end up spending most of our time. And the after the pod, as always. So before we begin that episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot.
It's time.
Hey. Share this, don't hesitate. From anywhere you are, it's never too late. Like A-train lines that need to be blown. You need to spread the word and make it be known. District Divided.
Share this shit.
Share this shit. I did not see that before this. That is brand new information to me. but share this shit. Greatly appreciate it.
You saw MCDD, that's Lil DD.
Yeah, okay. We got some FCs and Lils, I guess. All right, cool. Well, why don't you want to quickly touch on the Aiyuk stuff first, or it looks like you have
before
else.
We do any of that stuff.
Of course, go ahead.
It's time to live stream the presidential debate. No, I'm joking.
Maybe we just talk about that.
Maybe. But it's also 72 days until kickoff.
Hey, hold on. Who is that?
Who is that guy?
Who is that? Okay.
Do you need it again?
Yeah, give it to me one more time. Gosh, this is frustrating. This is frustrating.
I almost went Charles Leno, but I chose not to do that.
Who is it? I'm going to be so mad when you tell me to.
You want a clue or just go for it?
Just go.
Stephen Bowen, defensive title.
Yeah, I'm pretty salty about that. That wasn't the first name that came to mind for me, but shout out to Stephen Bowen. 72 days until 72 days until kickoff. As you can see, we're unhinged today. All right, why don't we go ahead? Let's quickly talk about Brandon Aiyuk. Of course, another update. I think, what was it, an Instagram post or something like that? So he's like, so the Niners never tried to trade me. Something along those lines. Some JPA football report came out, or that aggregator, and Aiyuk responded to that. Yeah, Aiyuk responded to that saying, basically causing more of a stir. He's clearly disgruntled right now with the 49ers. KDot, what do you make of it as Siri tries to answer that question for me?
Well, it was weird as far as the timeline, because like, just to clear it up, tell me if I'm wrong, but it was we first get word, or we see the IG post of Aiyuk shopping with Jaden Daniels. So that happens.
Correct.
And everybody's like, oh my God, they're together. And then there was the rumors all over Twitter. It's like, is he in Maryland? Was that Tyson's corner? But it was like, they're in California. That's
obviously in California.
Right. And then Ryan Clark goes on TV and he says that Aiyuk is going to meet with the 49ers.
Right.
And that Jaden Daniels was with him something. And everybody
probably
takes that
in relation to the pivot.
That was what it was. But everybody ran with it. It was like, what? Jaden Daniels is going to the 49ers to talk. It was like, no, that's called tampering. You can't do that. But he was there on the pivot. And then Adam Schefter, I think, was a little peeved that Ryan Clark was breaking news. So then he says, hey, everything that everybody's saying as far as like the 49ers not wanting Aiyuk, they definitely do want him. That's why they're having the conversation. But there was truth to Washington was in conversation with the 49ers at one point about Aiyuk, and they said that they were no longer interested. And then to that, Aiyuk was like, I thought they weren't trying to trade me. And it was like, oh, what the fuck? So it's gotten messy. That's the only thing. It's gotten messy. Like, at the end of the day, this is not anything new. You got a player that thinks they've outperformed. They've clearly outperformed the contract. They're up for a new one. And they're seeing everything that's happening in the wide receiver market that we broke down last week or a couple weeks ago. and he wants to get paid. And I think that, like, if you look at his stats and you look at everything else, I think the man deserves his money. It's the 49ers are basically just saying, like, hey, look, like they drafted Pearsall in the first round. It's just so I think they're just bullshitting with each other to try to get leverage. They're just moving for leverage.
For sure. And as a quick recap, they drafted Pearsall. That's one. They extended Jawan Jennings, another wide receiver on the team, 2 years, 15. And they gave McCaffrey a raise, 2 years, 38. So that's all skill position players, right?
Debo's got his money.
Yeah, and Debo's already got his money, as you saw in the graphic last week that KDot made. And I believe Dan Orlovsky was also talking about Brandon Aiyuk and had immense praise for Aiyuk and what he's able to do. There you go. Thank you, KDot. So saying not more than 3 or 4 receivers in the NFL that are as or more important value-wise to their offense than Brandon Aiyuk. This offense can't and won't function the same unless he's on the field. Has to move all around, attack the middle of the field, be reliable in the red zone, and be as good as any blocking wide receiver in football. On that last point, I remember that because Aiyuk was on my fantasy team when he was getting disciplined for not blocking. I remember that. I was like, why is he not getting any fucking targets, let alone being on the field? I mean, it was crazy. But Dan's right on a lot of that. Aiyuk does a whole lot for the 49ers offense. You could see why they want him. Now, I have a question for you, KDot.
Yeah.
Has any of this stuff began to rub you the wrong way? Because I've been looking at social media at different Commanders fans, and some of them are starting to go, Aiyuk's starting to do a little too much. I don't really necessarily like it. What about you?
The only piece that, for me, that I don't want to go there yet, I don't think we've reached this level yet, but the Jaden Daniels aspect of it. So, like, I like the fact that there's been no drama here. The most drama we've had this offseason has been a t-shirt. So, like, at the end of the day, that's pretty fucking dope. So, like, while I don't think Aiyuk would ever be a problem in our organization the way that he's being, because I think he feels disrespected and slighted by San Francisco. Ryan Clark even said that when the pivot pod hasn't released yet, but Ryan Clark has already said that he's taking it personal. Aiyuk is admitting that he's taking it personal because they keep talking about how much he means to him, and then, like, well, then fucking pay me. So, like, and knowing that Jaden's even here, I don't think he would be an issue as far as, like, a locker room cancer sort of thing. So that doesn't scare me. It's just like, there's a part of me that thinks that every time the Jaden Daniels pops up, it becomes a conversation as far as some sort of aspect of leverage where they're using the Commanders, or Aiyuk's trying to contemplate that the Commanders are an option or something. But it even gets a little wonky because there's no real leverage there. If the report has already come out to Washington said that, like, hey, we're not interested. The only time that it would be an issue for me, and I don't think this will happen. I do not think this will happen. But if Jaden Daniels came out and started putting any pressure on the organization to make it happen, that to me are red flags. So, like, I understand they're boys. I understand they're rocking together on this. They're just friends and they're hanging out. I don't think Daniels or anybody is doing anything wrong necessarily. Only ask questions as far as who his favorite teammate be. It's his best friend. I get it. Like, nobody's going crazy in any way. But, and Aiyuk hasn't specifically said, like, oh, I'm forcing my way to Washington. But if it gets to that point, it could get, then I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, especially with the 49ers still having the leverage. As a reminder, the 49ers cap space this year, they don't need to move off Aiyuk at all. They can just sit there and say, hey, you got to play. And if you don't, oh, well, I mean, we're not getting proper value for you in a trade. So we're just going to sit here. That's totally fine. So again, as a reminder, the Niners do have leverage in this situation. It appears as though they do not want to trade him. If Aiyuk makes enough noise, maybe they go, screw it. Let's just trade the guy. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't see that happening, honestly, KDot. But we'll see what happens. Any final thoughts on Brandon Aiyuk before we move on to becoming owners of this team?
I would say my position on Aiyuk hasn't changed at all with what happened over the course of last week. It's still, I'm not complaining if he's here on the team. It doesn't make all the sense in the world for me as far as giving up what it is we need to give up. I'd love to see him on the team next year on a free agent deal, though.
Yeah. I think that would be the dream scenario. You give Jaden an entire season with the current team to be able to develop those relationships without any bias, because let's not kid ourselves. There will be a little bit of bias. It's human nature if Brandon Aiyuk were to be over here. So he can fully just be Jaden Daniels, not have to worry about anything else.
Right.
And then year 2, okay, let's reassess. Do we want Brandon over here? Answer's probably going to be yes. And then we just move forward. I think that's
right. How far away are we? Where do we want to put the money? We have a lot of it. Now, where do we want to put it? Where do we need to allocate it? If we have a pretty good season this year, I mean, the sky's the limit as far as what they can do the following offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens. And again, it's the dead period, so we'll have plenty of time to talk about this. Why don't we go ahead and talk about ownership, KDot? So all of a sudden, we bought the team from Josh Harris, I guess. Congrats to you for getting that money all of a sudden. I think it's awesome. And congrats to me for getting all that money all of a sudden. It's pretty awesome. We are now owners of the team effective immediately. So KDot, question to you. And you can go anywhere with this.
Yeah.
What would you do?
All right. So once again, this is the dead period. So I don't know if you checked, if you're a Madden player, you see I have the little ownership card from franchise mode there on the graphic. This is a thought exercise. Okay. This is just a thought exercise. I am completely cool. I think I can speak for both of us that we are cool with the way things are rocking.
Yep.
There's no onus to do anything off the field right now, here this year at this particular moment. There's a lot of moving pieces and they're kind of moving in the right direction. It is what it is. But I think the thought exercise here is like, if we had, say, to just do anything we wanted to do, what would we do? So and I think that the fan base, they might prioritize some things that we don't necessarily do. Yeah. So I guess we get down to it. I guess let's start rostering and move our way back out. Okay.
Oh, that's how you want to do it. Okay. Sounds good.
I think let's start something small and then
that people want to listen to, and then go ahead and do what we want to do. Yeah, go ahead.
I just think it's about to get messy. So if I was looking at this current roster, if I was going to put any pressure, once again, if I was a meddling owner, yes. I was looking at Dan Snyder's house on TikTok. The one he's selling. I was like,
very first move, buy it.
That might be the first move. I'd buy it and then burn it down.
Yeah.
So you just have a giant fucking washed-in logo.
You talk about getting a fan base riled up and adoring you day one. That's what you do. Go ahead.
Let's fire them up. All right. If I'd probably trade for Brandon Aiyuk, and I'm also signing David Bakhtiari. 1-2 punch. I'm sorry. I'm also I'm a light Barstool content watcher or consumer. Consumer. I don't know if you pay attention to they just did the beer games. Will Compton, shout out, former Washington player. Love that dude.
Player, yep.
And Taylor Lewan, they do Busted with the Boys. They had their beer games. And Bach was there. And I'm sorry, every time I see Bakhtiari chug a beer, I'm like, I need this man on my team. I want him here. He's so much fun. He seems like a Dan Quinn guy. I just want him.
Okay. So no, I don't want him. He can continue
to
chug as many beers as he wants. No, easy there. Come on, man. But listen, I do agree. Let's trade for Brandon Aiyuk. I want us to sign Stephon Gilmore. I've said that many, many times. He's got the relationship with Joe Witt. He's got the relationship with Dan Quinn. He's certified in the league, and he helps an area of need, in my opinion. And I think could also help out an Emmanuel Forbes, a Quan Martin, the younger guys. This is exactly what we want to do in this system. So a coach on the field, similar to what we have of Bobby Wagner. Also being able to say we have a defense of Bobby Wagner and Stephon Gilmore, along with Deron Payne, Jonathan, is pretty cool.
You're so much higher on Gilmore than me.
Listen, because even if he doesn't necessarily produce on the field, and I suspect he would, he could still help integrate everybody into that system. So I think from that perspective, it helps a lot. So that's why I want Stephon Gilmore, not the beer chugging Bach.
Here's what I'd say. So, all right. I mean, you got that little jab and not the beer chugging Bach. Fuck you. He's a damn good left tackle when he's playing. Here's the reason. Fuck you. So the reason, we're already contentious. It's just on the wraps and shit. So
conclusion is you should be glad we don't own the team. Go ahead.
Look, hey, the reason that I am not at all for Stephon Gilmore is every second that goes by, I'm less in the Gilmore camp. They just coached him. And they haven't moved for him. They went and got Bobby Wagner, who was a dude that played under this system years ago, right? And they brought him in, leadership, blah, 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 blah. They signed Zach Ertz. What? If they wanted Stephon Gilmore, they've had ample opportunity knowing who he is on the defense, knowing what he is as far as his leadership, knowing all of that shit. They could have done it a long time ago.
I'm going to go on the flip side here and say that I think they've talked to him. This is not a report, and you guys know that. I think they've talked to him. I think he's looking to sign with a contender, so he's taking his time. He's at that stage in his career where he would probably want to be able to go for a ring. If that doesn't work out and we get closer and closer to the season, he may go, you know what? Fine. Because again, we do have the money. We could do a 1 year. I don't know. You can honestly name the price and it would just be fine. Right? Because it's just a 1 year deal. So I think right now he's probably waiting for a contender. I would be surprised if they haven't at least spoken to him about the idea of coming here. But he probably doesn't view us as a contender, nor should he, frankly. I mean, we're year one of a rebuild here.
No, I mean, I get that. I did not give enough credence to that part of it. You're right. I mean, he's over the course of his career, he's earned the right to say,
absolutely,
I don't have to go on.
Yeah, pick your spot.
But yeah, to me the thing of it is, if there is even a conversation as far as the contenders, not like if he's just being patient, he's just like, look, I've got 5 offers sitting on the table. I ain't worried about any of them right now.
Yeah, maybe
that's one thing.
Training camp, he knows what he's doing.
Could potentially
people
be the
do
case.
that. People do that.
Could potentially be the case. I haven't heard anything about there being any fucking offers on the table.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Anyway, so those are the free agents. You would go Bach, I would go Gilmore. That's the only difference, though. We would both trade for Aiyuk as of right now. Or what are we giving up for that? Second and a fifth? We doing that? Does that get it done?
I don't think it gets it done.
Because
I do think that they want him. All right, hold on. Let's rethink this then.
Right. Yeah, because this may be expensive.
No, I'll say this.
Okay.
Word hits the media potentially, or at least anything. There's a trade offer made. The most I'm willing to do is a 2nd round pick, and I can do a complimentary pick in the following year's draft, none higher than a 3.
Compensatory pick?
No, sorry. Another just another pick to go with it.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that works. Okay. The 2nd and something. Yeah.
2nd and something, but not in the same draft.
Okay, so a future. Okay, got it.
Future.
So this coming draft 2nd and a then future. So like a 2026.
Maybe 4th rounder.
4th? Okay.
3rd, you could possibly sell me on, but the only way I'm selling on the 3rd is if I know what he's looking for contract wise, and I know I'm going to get him done long term.
Okay. So if you're able to do it, great. But that's your max offer.
Yes.
Okay. So we're not getting Brandon Aiyuk. I don't think that would get it done either, honestly. Okay.
But I'm gonna try. I'll try.
So you're getting Bakhtiari based off of the beer games, and
he's a hell of a player. You son of a bitch! Like it's
he's playing
right. But that's the thing with offensive line. Give me depth. Give me a dude that's proven that he can fucking do it. Like, why does that hurt me? Like,
this is the part where you and I are co-owners, and I go, fine, you could sign him. Jeez. And then they just let you sign him. That's probably
it's about to be a little mean.
That's what this episode is. Go ahead.
Co-owner of the new co-owner of the Washington Commanders, Amit, apparently died of a fentanyl overdose. Apparently the coke he took was laced.
Dead. Okay.
I'm gonna make sure every coke dealer got laced coke for your ass. Full ownership on the
side Bach. I am hurt. You're right. You crossed the line. All right. So anyway, that's free agency, which ended in a tragic death for me. Snorting fentanyl laced.
Shouldn't have disagreed with me, son of a bitch.
Unbelievable. All right. Well, at least we still have the graphics guy for District Divided. Go ahead. So what would you do?
The only other thing that I'd be looking to do as far as any roster moves is potentially trading either Jonathan Allen or Daron Payne. But I'd be checking out the market on it. I understand the thought process on not doing it. I just think I'm looking at the defensive line. I'm just looking at the depth that we do have there. And I'm like, if there's something that we could potentially do, but I'm pretty firm where it is of the roster is. I'm like, wait and see. I just want to see what it is they do.
I'm honestly fine with the way the roster looks right now. It's very much, I think the vibes are high. I think the team, we overhauled the roster again, largest overhaul since World War II. Like, let's just see what it looks like. This is very much let's just have a look and evaluate this season as year one of the new regime. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like. So I'm fine with that. What else? So now
You get to choose where we're going next.
Stadium.
Okay.
Stadium.
Cool. I'm good with that.
So here's what we're doing. We are for the people, right? We have come into this money. We don't really know the backstory. Do we want to get into the backstory of how we got the money?
Brother, if I became a billionaire, it means I probably trampled on somebody's hopes and dreams and exploited someone. And I'm sorry, but the way that it works in this country is when you reach a certain tax bracket, you stop caring about the people. Okay?
That's true. Okay, well, but here's the thing. Because of what you just said, I've got more of the well, you killed me off, so I guess it's really up to you. But if I were alive still, here's what I would do. I would move the team to DC, but we would pay for the stadium, not the city. Just a dump on Ted Leonsis and just further solidify us as the awesome owners.
Yeah, right? That yacht bitch house fire cost me a grip. Whoa. You just took a ball of money. What are we doing?
We didn't have insurance on the house?
Duh, and paying on them coke deals is a lot.
Oh, my Lord. Okay, well, anyway, if we can afford the stadium, we at least front a bunch of it, minimum, to make it easier on the city. We move it here.
Oh, no doubt.
And we're definitely, I don't know if we're calling out Ted Leonsis specifically, although the Wizards had a really nice draft, by the way. But anyway, that's more Dawkins and stuff like that. I think he was forced into it. We're dunking on Ted Leonsis. I think we have to. I think we have to be like, this is what it looks like. It puts pressure on him. Maybe helps the Wizards and Caps a little bit. I don't know. Could be great. So that's what I want to do.
I'm with you. I like, so yeah, RFK site, new stadium.
Yep.
And let's make sure that we can pay as much money as we can for it to not put it on the taxpayers.
Do we own FedEx Field? Does that belong to us?
Yeah, I believe because well, it was. I don't know if I think it still is owned by us because it was Jack Kent Cooks.
Okay, sweet. So then here's also something I propose. We auction off being able to detonate it. So whoever wants to push the lever down and it's an auction. I think we would make some serious money with that. And then, by the way, I've got a plan with that money.
Okay.
So home opener at RFK, right? We're back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm alive. We're just having a good time. And, it's so cool when you see a playoff atmosphere in the NBA or NHL or whatever, and everyone's wearing the same jersey or same shirt color or whatever. You got the whiteouts, whatever you do. We're doing that for our home opener. So we've got a shirt on every single seat for that home opener. And it is going to be an electric atmosphere. Like, it is just going to be so cool. We're finally back in the nation's capital, right? 70, 80,000 people all wearing the same shirt. We're very careful about who we're selling these tickets to. I mean, it's showtime, baby. Like, this is going to be great. Magic Johnson's on board. We're keeping him. Like, Magic Johnson's on board for sure. Like, I want to do that with the money that we get.
I'm with you on 90% of that. So,
Dude, this is great so far. My proposal
stadium
awesome.
Cool, RFK site legit. The FedEx Field location, I'd like to move. If we're looking at all around as far as what the team is doing, I'd like to move the team facilities from Ashburn, like as far as the practice facility and the training camp facility and all that shit, to probably closer to like a Landover for that. So they from the stadium to the team facility, I think is just right up South Capitol Street and just do that whole bit. Okay. Ashburn's going to be like, I think they've already kind of approved that like it'll be a data center analytics. Like it's the team headquarters. It's not necessarily what it is like the team or it should be behind the scenes shit. The data, they're the data miners for everything, right? I'm not with the shirt thing. Now, the reason I'm not for you with the shirt thing, no.
Insane. Go ahead.
As a bigger gentleman, every time I've ever gone to an event with a shirt, it never fits. So, fuck that.
We'll make sure it fits.
No, what are you gonna do? If the shirts are already got to sit, like it got to be on the seat, right?
Yeah.
What we're gonna do a sign up thing? That's gonna be a
wait, we're in a suite probably, right? Or are we with the people?
No. I'm saying on my behalf, I know that there are other large gentlemen like myself that I don't want to have suffer through the embarrassment of when you show up to the game with all your boys and you pick the shirt up off the seat. Okay. And you're like, this isn't
here's
gonna
the thing.
work.
If you're worried about that, we have a hotline. You call them, you let us know what seat you're in, and we will make sure that is a larger shirt. We'll figure it out. We got to get this right. And the shirts is a great idea.
Now, I've got another thing as far as what it is I want to do. But But it leads into something else. It leads into something else, though. So, are we off the stadium?
We're off the stadium. We're off the stadium.
Oh no! Well, here's the stadium. Indoor, outdoor, retractable.
It's got to be outdoor.
No roof.
I'm between outdoor and retractable. Definitely not indoor.
I'm with you there. I would just think is even if
want
we're
the
not,
option.
It's not.
You can't afford it because you blew up Yacht Bitch's house. That's the problem. Like we could have got
we had the taxpayers.
We're outdoor.
Leveraged them. We just leveraged them.
You blew up his place. You can't do that.
Yeah, but that was it. Yeah, I'd say right now that was a better moment for the. That was a better moment for the fan base than the goddamn.
I agree, and that's why we got the people in there.
I'm just saying. So
okay, good.
So I lean towards retractable just because I got to recoup some of that fucking money. So like the idea of it still be like that's the problem with Washington more than anything, right? Is like Washington DC should be international destination for all sorts of events or anything. Taylor Swift couldn't even fucking perform in town, right? There's not big enough.
We miss out on everything. Yeah.
So like the idea that like you could talk about the World Cup or anything and we're not in the conversation at all. No, I want our stadium to be in that fucking conversation. If I look around the league, what they have in SoFi, if the weather was more temperate like it does in California, I'd love the SoFi. Like I love that facility and everything. It's fucking awesome. But I want to build, if we're going to be coming out of our own dollars for it, then I want to make sure that we can make some of the fucking money back other than just football revenue. So I think it have to be retractable.
Okay. Fine.
But I probably have a rule that like unless the temperature's above a certain degree and it's got to be extreme, or like absolute whiteout condition. No, fuck that.
Or if we're playing the Dolphins in December and Tua needs to play in under 40 degrees, then
there's no cap one low.
Okay, it's just
there's only cap one high if it's too hot, and that's a rule that I'm installing. I'm going fuck as a fat man that's owning the team. I ain't sweating. If I want to be around, I ain't sweating, motherfuckers. I ain't sweating. So. Above 70 degrees, you're putting that roof on that bitch.
Above 70.
It's not negotiable.
80. 75. 75.
75
is gorgeous. Okay, fine. 75. Okay, we can agree. On stuff. All right, fine. That's the stadium.
All right. Let's go to the big thing. Name.
Yeah, I was thinking about this.
What you got? Once again, if you want to know what our real thoughts are about the name in the real world, you can look back at any episode we've done over the course of this entire podcast.
Yep.
We're the Warriors, baby.
We're
the Washington fucking Warriors. And when I go to what it is that we're going to do as far as a handout, glass bottles are coming back. Clink, clink, clink. Warriors, come out and play. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be the shit.
Oh my God.
Glass bottles are back. Get 3 of them bitches. Clink.
What
clink,
a pitch.
Clink.
Okay, well, I mean, listen, I was struggling with the name. The pitch alone was worth it. So sure, we could be called the Warriors. I'm fine with that. Other names I messed around with, Justice. I was like, nah, that's kind of lame. Wanderers, I thought was kind of cool. Washington Wanderers. Considering the state of the franchise recently, it feels like we've been wandering a whole fucking bunch.
Prophecy.
The what? Washington Prophecy? Is that what you said?
No. I don't know what are these religious overtones you want?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't like Wanderers. To me, feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you will never find ourselves.
Oh, okay. Then all I heard, I did not hear self-fulfilling. I just heard prophecy. I was like, we're the Washington Prophecy. That's interesting.
Yeah, we're just evangelists. We bring in the entire Houston staff. And that's just where we're going with.
Could we do something with, I mean, now that we're on religious overtones and stuff like that, and hopefully they're not too religious over here, so I apologize in advance for those that do care. Something to do with Jesus Christ, because we rise on a Sunday, huh? Game Sunday? What do you think?
I'm glad you died in that funnel over there. If I was in the mood, if me and you was sitting in the goddamn boardroom, we got everybody around, and you're like, Can we do something, Jesus? Throw that motherfucker out the window.
I'd only try a handful of things as owner. I would definitely try and push that and just see what happens. Just see. That's a great way. It's sort of like The Boys. Who's agreeable with Homelander? You're figuring out who the agreeable people are. We're just getting them out. It's just a test, KDot. It's just a test.
Going back to your last time, I do like the idea of starting a rivalry with the other owners in town.
You have to.
I like that. I like
makes them better and makes us more lovable.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna shit all over Teleounces. I'm shitting all over the learners. We're We're the best.
See ya.
We're the fucking best.
So yeah, that's simple.
I'm
And then they're
down
like,
with that.
oh yeah, we're gonna make our team better. It's like, we're for the people. Everyone's winning. Pretty awesome. I think it's great. Okay, so we're the Washington Warriors. I'm good with that. I'm trying to think of other names, but clearly I'm in this religious.
The only other one that I would do is Red Wolves, which is the one that I really liked from last time, right?
Yes.
And that goes into where we talk about jersey and stuff. I love the old school R that we used to have, and like being able to keep that would be kind of dope. But I love the movie The Warriors entirely too much. And the idea, and fuck t-shirts, we give leather Warriors vest on every seat. I think that's what bet.
Oh,
I'm gonna put it. You've never seen the movie Warriors?
No, of course not.
God damn it!
I've seen the replacements. Should we be the Sentinels?
It bothers me that they were in Baltimore that entire movie.
That's fair.
It bugs the shit out of me. It bugs the shit out of me. It's like this.
We get Keanu. We hire Keanu Reeves to be the morale guy for the squad.
No, McConaughey, baby.
McConaughey has to be because he's actually a fan as well.
It's McConaughey.
Laz Alonso.
McConaughey, Laz Alonso, Jeffrey Wright have a box
every game
permanently.
I love that
at the new RFK. Those are our guys. Those are our guys. Like, and it's just, if you want to be part of the crew, whatever, it's cool. Like, we're the cool spot to be.
And the guy who detonates or gal who detonates FedEx is in that box. So you're also selling that.
You know what I was thinking about that? I don't necessarily know if I'm detonating FedEx.
You would make so much money if you did though. If you auctioned that.
No, that'd be kind of dope. But the thing with FedEx is like, I've always thought about, can you repurpose an old stadium to be like the full training facility? Like everything they have as far as the concourse and all that stuff. If you're like, we do not have to cater to the audience or the people at all. How much would that cost compared to just
I think you'd be surprised as to how much.
But I'd love our practice facility to be like the most state-of-the-art.
Of course. And we will obviously pour money into that with our amazing ideas over the years. Like we will be able to figure that out. But
FedEx was kind of cool at the beginning. I remember those early games.
Yeah, in the beginning. But like having the players schlep to Landover, I don't know. I'm trying to think about where the practice facility should be. Because I don't think there's space in DC outside of RFK. That seems to be like the only space. I'm trying to think.
The only other thought process, and somebody was telling me that it doesn't work anymore, was I like the idea of having all the stadiums kind of together off of South Capitol Street. So my thought was like across the Anacostia, right across the bridge. There was some land there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I like, that's the only other location within the city that I would be cool with.
You got like a bubble over there. That'd be pretty sweet as a practice facility. That would be cool.
You could do that.
Oh, yeah. The Warriors practice over there. See, I'm already adapting. The Warriors practice over there in Anna, right there, right across the bridge. Like that'd be pretty cool.
But I'm going to be completely honest. The thing with me is that I don't know if you remember this. I remember this growing up. Maybe I know we're a few years apart, not crazy years,
just a couple of years. Yeah.
But when I was a kid, it was a thing to be a DC kid, to be a kid that was born in DC.
Yes.
And it used to, by the time I hit around high school, was when that whole DMV bullshit started. And the DMV thing was like, it was motherfuckers that like ended up in the city from Montgomery County and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, Bernal and I held true. We were like, no, you're not. Like, we gate kept the shit out of it in high school.
But there are so few of us as far as Washingtonian, like purebred, like true Washingtonians, that the DMV moniker is just kind of taken over. And it's just what it is now. There is a part of me that still does believe, because of how intricate that everything is with it, I like the idea of the stadium and where we play on Sundays being in DC.
In DC, yes. So that's why I was sort of pushing on the Landover thing, because I was like, can we get in DC?
But I do find it very important to have something team related in both Virginia and Maryland.
Of course,
I think you have to have
nations happening in Maryland.
God damn it!
And we'll
the practice facility or the team headquarters. They have to. I think that it's extremely vital to have it in all three. I'm sorry. There are more Virginians that come to the fucking games than there are Washingtonians, dude. And like,
that's true. I agree with you.
And the thing is, like, even Washington, D.C. as a whole, I love what that city used to be. I'm not in love with that city now at all. But I would definitely like to come there to watch a game just because of how special it is and how special that city is. But D.C. is a far cry away from what the fuck it used to be. And I like the fact that majority of the purebred Washingtonians don't fucking live there. They live in Virginia or Maryland because they have price to fuck out. So, like, I like the idea of being able to keep everybody kind of involved.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
But yeah, the city DC deserves a stadium. Like you even look at the RFK site from like when you're seeing like the overheads as far as Washington and seeing how they have RFK Stadium like lined up with the monuments and everything, it looks like it's a part
beautiful
of the city.
It is
like,
beautiful.
It's gorgeous. Like that to me is like, yes, that should be that's an important thing. That to us as Washingtonians is just as important as the fucking White House and Capitol, any fucking thing else. But our
practice facilities by Haynes Point
in DC. I'm not. I'm anti it.
Okay, so you wanted Maryland. All right, fine. We could do the Landover thing, but let's detonate the thing first, and then we can build over it.
We can, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Once again, I'm just whatever's most cost effective is what I want to do with that. So.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. All right, so that is name, that is stadium, that is roster. Anything else?
Jersey. So I want us to get the fuck away from whatever this Commander's jersey is. I hate it. I
kind of like this.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a fan. I like this is the one time that you'll see me kind of version. I sound like one of those assholes on Twitter, and this is the only time you're gonna hear me do this. I don't like our jerseys. I despise the white jerseys. Despise the white jerseys.
Really?
I hate them. But even I was so like on that
might get the white Tress Way one. Told you I'm getting a Tress Way jersey. I'm just waiting for him to pick his number. Yeah, go ahead.
On the share this shit video that we have, you could see I clipped you in your photo that you
I saw.
Yeah. What I couldn't get over is I was carefully clipping out your entire body. The fucking holes on the number annoy the shit out of me. That gradient bullshit that they try to do is fucking dumb. Just make it solid.
No, these are diamonds. What are you talking about?
Fuck out of here. They suck ass. I hate them. Like,
are you sure it was the Commanders one or was it the Skins one?
It's the Commanders one that you were wearing. The Jaden Daniels jersey you got.
Okay, you clipped that one.
Yeah.
Just when I did this last week, you were able to clip it off that?
No, you
because that was the first time
we're friends on social media, and you also put it on your Twitter.
Oh, I'm a moron. That's exactly right. I did do that. Yeah. Oh, it's out there. Yeah, I completely forgot. I was like, you did it off of it? Oh, yeah. Nope.
No, it's part of the public meme domain.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, I do think I was the very first person to wear a Jaden Daniels jersey.
You very well might have been.
Yeah. I got it blessed. You
very well might have been.
So I'll always have that moment in history. But go ahead.
That jersey, I'm not a fan of. I want to see us go back. Damn it, that was the one thing I wanted to do. Was I wanted to put some jersey options up.
Oh, like mock-ups. Well, we can do that for next episode because we got loads of time.
Yeah, that's fair.
To do that.
But it's just I need the number. The biggest flaw in the jersey to me is the numbers. They look too thin. They look a little flimsy looking. They just need to have more heft to it. I think a solid gold with a white outline to me would be
okay. No, that's fair. I will not fight you on the jerseys. I will say I like this year's jersey. Like I also haven't got one in a long time, so I think there was some excitement around getting the new jersey, seeing the Daniels 5 on the back and then the 5 on the front. The Commanders. I think it's a pretty clean look. I do not hate the white ones, but sounds like you do.
The black ones are the only ones I've kind of come around.
Black ones are kind of nice. Black ones
are cool, but that's the thing. The black ones just don't look. They're an alternative jersey. They don't look like it's supposed to be who we are.
Right.
It's just there's so many reasons why they should. I understood what they were. Fuck that. This is our time to be toxic.
Yes.
They should have just kept the uniforms. They were clean, and like you could have removed the logo and just kept the bold what we had as far as in the logos or as far as the color scheme and everything else. I understand they wanted to give us something fresh, but there was no reason to really change it. The jerseys that we used to have were a lot better. Like if it was up to me, I'd like to go for what we did for the 70th anniversary ones, the where it was gold leaded. It was more gold than it was burgundy. That to me is the cleanest look we've ever had. And especially if we were the Red Wolves, we go back to like the fucking gold helmets. Like, oh my God. Oh,
that's true. The gold helmets would be lit. Any final thoughts before we go to the comment mailbag?
Is there anything else on this bitch? No, I guess we changed the team name. We traded some guys. You're dead. Yeah, I think we're done.
I think you're having a great time. Also, your lens fixed itself. I was about to say it started.
Yeah, I know. I started moving around.
Protection, but yeah, no.
And I kept looking up because there's something on my ceiling. I can't figure out what it is. It probably is a bug of some sort, but it's like a bug I've never seen before.
Well, it's respecting that you're potting right now. It's like, don't worry about it. I'll get you right after this. I'll get you right after this.
I'm not afraid. I mean, if it falls on me,
you're not afraid, but you keep looking at it.
It's just it keeps like I'm trying to figure it out. Like I think
in the comments, let us know if you think KDot's afraid right now. We're gonna go ahead and I do need to say this. We're about to transition over to the comment mailbag. KDot says he has made something, and just like the share this shit, I have not seen this either. So KDot, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
I had to cash in a favor for this one, but comment mailbag time.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
You said you cashed in a favor? You want to explain that? Because go ahead.
That's Nicki Minaj rapping.
I know, that's crazy.
It's AI, motherfucker.
I know.
I
thought I wanted to continue with the bit. You're like, I know, dude. We booked her. It's crazy.
I want to know what people thought about that because I spent a lot of time working on that sumbitch right there. I want to play it again, if we be completely honest. But all right, cool. I just want to know what your thoughts are on it. Am I doing a good job before it's incredible? I need validation, motherfucker.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
I think it's incredible. I genuinely think that's incredible.
I think my video production skills are getting up there.
You think? and the comment mailbag, make sure you know that as well. There are a couple comments specific to kudos for you, KDot. So yeah, we'll get to that in a moment, but we will begin with Flinskin. Okay. Shout out Flinskin with the very first comment on this video. And as a reminder, this was the deep dive into if we were to trade for Brandon Aiyuk. First off, would we? What would it look like, etc.? And it was the KDot graphics show. And so Flinskin begins with, dude, it was incredible. It was like a professionally done thing. Flinskin says, I'm English, just for reference. Been a skin supporter since 1983.
My God.
Just absolutely love your podcast. Really loved your well-thought approach to trading for BA. I do watch other podcasts, but I shake my head when things are said that show a lack of knowledge. Regarding that, you did talk about Jaden Daniels' pressure to sack ratio, which is important, although Mina Kimes said the LSU O-line was a brick wall. Was this true? After her Dan Quinn is on the hot seat take, what she says, I take with a pinch of salt. Keep up the fab work. This comment is amazing because he also comments on the Dan Quinn being on the hot seat thing is ridiculous. And so I greatly appreciate that. Greatly appreciate you listening. This is an awesome comment, KDot. Literally says, hey, love your show. Feels we're knowledgeable. Nothing about us being funny.
Mina Kimes.
I don't hate Mina Kimes. I hated that take. I don't hate Mina Kimes. I just hated that take because I respect her and a lot of people respect her. And so they probably thought of that and were like, oh man, she's right. And that's what irritates me. She has pull.
I think you need to support women more.
You gotta be kidding me. All right, cool. That was Flinskin. Shout out Flinskin. Greatly appreciate your comment there. The thing is, if I just start engaging with KDot, he's very good at arguing and he's going to make me think I don't support women at the end of it somehow.
I mean, I've got receipts.
We've got, no, you don't. We've got real progress in action.
Bitch, I'm on the phone with my co-host. Shut the fuck up.
That was a special case. If you had better,
bitch, go get the lines ready and wait till I'm on the phone.
He was trying to take the phone off me. We were both very drunk. Anyway, this is real progress in action. That's a hilarious name.
He's already backpedaling. You see that?
No, I'm not. Anyway, it's literally the tag is real progress in action, which is hilarious considering where we just were. Shout out real progress in action.
Flinskin's. I know we got a lot of comments, but Flinskin's did say something about the pressure to sack ratio on the LSU.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I got so caught up in just how awesome the comment was.
I know. Yeah, you were being super defensive. I know. You're like Drake.
I apologize.
So like the
talk about the Jaden Daniels pressure to sack ratio, and then Mina Kimes was saying that the O line for LSU was a brick wall. So very good.
The O line for LSU was good. They were good. The problem with Jaden, it's the same thing. When we talked about this with Jaden really early on, is what I was saying that he reminds me of Mahomes in that way, as far as looking for the home run sometimes. So it's like when the pressure actually gets there, that's the thing is when they actually get to say that, okay, that counts as a pressure, it means that he has to be under pressure. But a lot of times the pressure is he held on the ball too long looking for the home run, or he also is so confident in his abilities and what he can do on the ground that he'll hold on to something longer than he might necessarily should because he's looking for the big thing. That to me is a little different than some of the other guys have as far as that issue. It's not like happy feet. I just got to fucking figure it out. It's just he's looking for the home run.
I'll have to find this stat for you later, KDot, because there's a pressure to sack ratio and there's also a self pressure rate, which was a very interesting find. I believe Chris Sims had it on his show. I had taken a screenshot of it, but I need to find where I stored it. I think you'd find it interesting. But basically, the idea is that Jaden creates less pressure than his actual pressure to sack ratio. So, like the times that he does end up getting sacked, it is because pressure got through, but it wasn't necessarily his fault. You would think that those two things would mirror, and you'd just be like, oh, okay. But it was actually less. So, is he looking for the home run? Probably. I think when you are a Heisman Trophy winner and you're very confident, you're like, I could probably wait an extra second or two, and he probably shouldn't have. And he seems currently very coachable. We'll see. But yes, Mina Kimes is correct. The LSU offensive line is quite good. Yes.
The only other thing I say as far as sack to pressure ratio, which is something that you saw with Sam Howell, something you see with Drake May, which is true as far as assault, is they don't understand. They don't have any pocket awareness, and they end up moving into something they shouldn't move into.
And that would be an example of self-pressure. Yeah.
Right. I don't think Jaden does that. I don't think Jaden moves. I think he has good pocket awareness. It's just you can't be there forever.
You know who actually has a crazy one is Caleb Williams. It's around 28%. So it speaks to his and Jaden, I think, is at 19% or something like that. So like it speaks to Caleb's escapability, also speaks to a habit he needs to break in Chicago.
And also the USC line being a far less line than anyone had a fucking LSU or anybody had a Washington.
That's also true. Yeah. So we'll see. Now we go to real progress in action. Shout out Flintskin once again. Appreciate that comment. It was awesome. Real progress in action says, you guys are very well thought out. Love this show. Appreciate the comment. Real progress in action. Feel like we did put in a decent amount of effort into the Aiyuk trade because we did cover the Niners perspective, our perspective. I think we did a good job of it. Appreciate the comments there so far. What do you make of that, KDot?
I appreciate the comments. I was not feeling as high on myself that last episode because I felt like
I thought you crushed it.
Things, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I actually was listening to our pod and I skipped around the Aiyuk part because I was feeling too self-conscious.
Okay. Well, we'll listen to it again because people like it. And then we go to Allison Lombard, New G, as we're calling it now. Shout out. Aiyuk would be an absolute game changer for Washington. Terry will be playing the X in Cliff's 3x1s. Terry is an A-tier X. He has the potential to be an S-tier Z. You laughed immediately. Go ahead.
No, because it actually speaks to something that I've been saying even last season. You remember I was talking about how I hated that it felt as though they had Terry running like one route.
Yep.
I think they don't give Terry enough credit for being he's a hard runner and he's shiftier than people give him credit for being. Yeah, I'm all for it.
It is something we discussed last week where we said if McLaurin is the number 2 all of a sudden and he could be in that Z, it changes things dramatically. And so that's what KDot and I are seeing and why we're interested in making an offer for Aiyuk. Sounds like, once again, according to Schefter, we did talk about it. We're no longer talking about it, but the offseason is long. Hey, it's not just the dead period for us, dead period for them too. It's Adam Peters' first time. Maybe he's like, fuck it, I can swing this thing. Let's see what happens before training camp.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. They're humans too. And again, Allison Lombard, as a Celtics fan, banner 18, bitch. I can appreciate a franchise embracing its heroes of the past. For example, Daryl Green. Okay. So we've got a Philadelphia Eagles fan that is a Boston Celtics fan.
And then made sure to name drop Daryl Green. So I guess, Allison, you're just a big fan of the color green?
Yeah,
Is that how
I
you're
think
choosing
actually
things?
it's an excellent point. I think any
Those are
team that
baseball.
wears green in baseball, nothing's coming to mind of me. The A's? She an Oakland A's fan? I don't think she'd be caught dead around that franchise.
I don't know. I'm gonna
Maybe.
reserve. I'm reserving judgment. You've already look. I love the comments from Allison. New G. You will always have the stain of being an Eagles fan. I love you.
Mhm.
And
Celtics.
if you are truly choosing teams based on color, I guess I respect the randomness.
And then maybe Austin FC for like the MLS. They wear green, I think.
You've lost me.
Yeah, I know. So that we can move on to the next comment. Although Allison's got a couple more moving up later on. We're going to Going Commando 91 shout out. Listen to KDot. I love those Kermit videos. Somehow it never gets old. Helicopter is apparently something that was also said. KDot, you want to comment on that?
What's the username? What's this?
Going Commando 91.
Perfect. So I love the fact that you also have an ode to what the A Train likes to do when he wears them dresses out in Clarendon.
Okay.
Which is a little bit of helicopter. When it ain't tucked, helicopter.
Okay, now I get it. Yep. Okay, now I get it. It's appreciate the comment there, Going Commando, and appreciate what you made KDot do.
Just walking through fucking the Spider Kellys. Hey girls, you want to ride? Helicopter time. You know I don't respect women. Helicopter.
I'm gonna start fighting back next week. I'm gonna let KDot have this week. We go to Tony. Oh, gee, shout out Tony. Great show, fellas. And I'm loving 2 pods a week. Tony, we're just doing the one, but appreciate it. I'm glad you're watching it twice a week, I guess. Like that's awesome. On the Aiyuk trade, I think you guys are overthinking this. I don't care about the money, the picks, what trade player it takes, or what player trade it takes. Just get BA to DC. I'm only concerned about what it would mean to your team's success. Jaden's development will be fine. He had 2 BFF first-round wide receivers in LSU and got better. Think long-term on what it would signal to JD about how much this organization supports him. In my opinion, that would make him want to win more for the organization, the city, and his BFF with a heart emoji. You got Burrow and Chase. You got Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Daniel Aiyuk. That is how the comment concludes. KDot, your thoughts?
I do agree that like part of the exercise last week was we did overthink it. That was why I think we're also getting comments we were being thoughtful. The
40 minutes.
Yeah. So like I get the want and desire to have an Aiyuk on the team. I get it. He would be the best receiver on the team. At least that we've seen so far. I mean, maybe Terry's better, but I don't know because he's had subpar quarterback play. But I am so curious about Jahan Dotson and Luke McCaffrey. And if Jahan actually ends up being a dog and Luke ends up being a dog, then I would have hated that we did what we did to go get Aiyuk.
Yeah, it would be a what if. It would instantly become a what if, in fact, right? Yeah. Because we don't know how many targets would have gone to Jahan or would have gone to Luke if they weren't going to Brandon or Terry.
High on Luke.
I think we all are based on what we've heard so far. I'm still high on Jahan. Like, I still think he's going to be very good. And last year was just a travesty for everybody. We got Terry saying he's running cardio out there. It was just a disaster of a year. We go to Doug Fur, the first of 3 comments. Shout out Tony. Oh, gee, as always, appreciate the comment there. Doug Fur begins. Everyone agrees we need to upgrade left tackle. Everyone is worried about an RG3 end to Jaden Daniels with our current roster. Bakhtiari stated he is looking for a team that has a chance at postseason. Washington needs to stop with the wait and see mentality. Yes, building through the draft is preferred, but the facts are facts. Restructure contracts, trade players, do what it takes. Bringing in Aiyuk, Bakhtiari, and Gilmore. That would make us a contender at conference. Okay, would presume just the NFC as a whole, or maybe making a conference championship game. Jaden Daniels is on a quote-unquote cheap rookie contract for 5 years. Giving up on year 1 is not the way to increase fan hopes. We need a left tackle, but none want to come to a rebuild. It's a catch-22, but not even attempting it frustrates the fan base. Get Aiyuk, Bakhtiari, and Gilmore done. KDot, what do you make of that comment?
You're a little too comfortable speaking on behalf of the fan base because I don't agree with you. So like the idea that it's hilarious that he picked the two people that both of us picked if we were owner. So like that's funny. But look, so when I say that I picked Bakhtiari, what pushed me over the edge is I know what his talent level is, but I also saw him drink beer, which made me fall in love. But the it's hard pressed for me to say anything as far as what anybody they're deciding to bring in or not bring in, because I don't even know what the fuck the team looks like. I don't know if Bakhtiari works or doesn't work for what it is they want to do offensively. I don't know. Same thing with Gilmore. Like, I think that they've been very, very proactive in what it is they've done. I don't think that anybody thinks that they've been sitting on their fucking hands during this offseason. We've seen the turnover this offseason as far as the bodies that they had coming in and out. And you look at the people that they went and got as far as like a Frankie Louvu and a Jeremy Chin, you see the model of player that they're looking for. This is not a opportunity to get your over the hill gang because you think you're one player away. This team won how many games last year? And you think that we're right there at a fucking conference title already? That, to me, is ridiculous. That's the most ridiculous thing I've heard as far as from a comment. Could we get there? Yeah, but you to put the onus on that's all it takes. Like, that's what it is. We're right there. That's ridiculous to me. We need to see what the fuck this team is.
Agreed. Yeah, I think Doug Furr would be referring to the absolute ceiling of the team when he's saying that talking about the conference. It is an interesting point on the catch-22 aspect of it, because we were sort of talking about this with Stephon Gilmore, for example, where you had said, oh, they would have got it done by now. And then I'd brought up the idea of, well, maybe he's waiting for a contender. And then if the mindset is we are contending, could it be easier to bring in a couple of these guys? Because to Doug Furr's point about Bakhtiari, he did say in an interview, I don't remember who it was with. Maybe, was it Kay Adams? I can't remember. But he was like, I want to be on a team that's winning a Super Bowl at the end of the season. So he's also speaking as if he wants to be with a contender. And that catch-22 is true. I just want to provide the other side of that point. I agree with you, though, KDot, that it is like a stretch too far. I'm pretty excited with what we have right now. I'm pretty excited with the way the roster currently looks. And I'm willing to bring in one or two more guys if they're willing to come here and be a part of that rebuild. But that's what it is right now, what are we calling it? Recalibration? Were we talking? What were the words they used again? Not a rebuild.
It was an R word. I think it might have been recalibration.
Might have been a recalibration. So if they want to be part of the recalibration, we'll double check that. But I want to say that's what it was. Doug Furr with the next comment. Aiyuk would day one make the rest of the offense better, not hinder it. Everyone forgets he is the best blocking wide receiver as well. Once again, I had him in fantasy. I know damn well he is an excellent blocker because he missed time learning to block. And then once he did, he was very good at it. Helps running back, wide receiver, tight end, and even Jaden Daniels.
Recalibrate.
Recalibrate. Okay. So we're recalibrating. Thank you. Let's see, where was I? I would even trade Jahan Dotson or De'Ami Brown with draft picks to make it happen. Trade a defensive lineman, even though they're the base of our D. They also are the most expensive. Do what it takes. So basically doubling down on the idea of, hey, do what it takes to get Brandon Aiyuk over here, including the idea of trading Jahan Dotson or De'Ami Brown along with draft picks. I'm fine with De'Ami Brown, not Jahan. I'm not willing to do that. What about you, KDot?
I think that's actually pretty clean. This might sound crazy, but that works for me.
Okay.
I just don't want Jahan's opportunities limited. So
I don't know that we would be, because we don't know what the offense looks like yet.
We don't know what the offense will look like, but there are so many fucking balls you can fucking throw. And you've got Ben Sinnott, you got Austin Eckler, you've got Zach Ertz, you've got all these fucking guys are going to need to get targets, right? So like, and also for my own sake, I don't want fucking Jaden Daniels throwing the goddamn football 50 times a fucking game. So like the idea would be that like, I want Jahan to get the best opportunity. To me, it's clean in that sense that Jahan, like, I think there's a part of me that feels as though, I know that I've said every once in a while, like, we don't owe anything to anybody because of the amount of games this team won. But I saw some flashes in him that I just want to see work himself out and just see where he is exactly.
Me too.
If I understand what I'm getting with Aiyuk, I love it. And if you're telling me that, like, okay, I don't have to worry about Jahan potentially being a guy. I don't have to worry about paying for him. And I can just trade straight up Aiyuk for Jahan, the hope of what Jahan could be. Okay.
Right.
Like,
Because you prefer the finished product, like you were saying last week. I mean, here's the thing. I think Jahan is an excellent route runner. I think so. Like, even you remember the preseason last season? Like, he was so sharp, and then our offense actually installed, like, week 1 and everything changed. But like entering year 2, he was extremely confident. He was like, nobody can guard me one-on-one. Like, that is the exact attitude I want. He was growing. He was taking the correct steps. And then the offense just was what it was. I mean, Curtis Samuel had a ton of targets, which was not expected from that
he had
season.
everybody's targets.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Harry didn't have any, right?
Yeah.
So it was like,
it was nuts. Gibson didn't even get that many. Then Brian Robinson started getting some, which was like cool because he's dynamic as well. But like last year was just a mess.
I don't know why that works for me. Like, I've just talked about how much I want to see Jahan do this, that, and the other, right? But like, if that was the deal, if they said, I want Jahan Dotson and a third.
Ooh, I consider it, but
I think I'm done.
So you're taking it.
I think I'm done. Because like
crazy to me is I'm like not sure because maybe I'm just super high on Jahan. Maybe I'm super high on Jahan.
But the thing I just talked about,
maybe
I
that's
love
after the
too,
pod.
but
Maybe we'll bring that to after the pod just because we got a lot. And then one more from Doug for a shout out for all the comments. Doug, no other team can offer Aiyuk his best friend. That is true. Yes, this is a profession and money talks, but no team will trade not knowing if he will re-sign or extend past 2024. Aiyuk did not FaceTime the Chiefs, Bills, etc. There is a reason for that. Okay. So that's the final comment from Doug. Any final thoughts there, KDot?
I don't give a fuck about the Aiyuk Daniels friendship. That has no bearing on. I don't care about it. Because, like, the thing is that there are certain things you can do to absolutely placate certain guys, this, that, and the other, right? But it's the same way that I always felt as though what Green Bay did with Aaron Rodgers is like, I want my friends with me. Fuck you. Like, does it get to a point where then we have to worry 4 years from now that Aiyuk's contract is up and it's going to make Jaden really, really unhappy?
That's the thing that we did not talk about, which is possible. If Aiyuk's like, I'm dipping, and Jaden's like, oh, I don't know, maybe me too. Like, that could.
So I think what do I think it's awesome that he could have his best friend and it'd be a nice landing spot for him? Yes. Does it get involved in my thought process at all on this? No.
Okay. That's fair. I'm trying to think. Aiyuk didn't FaceTime the Bills, Chiefs, etc. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. And I also agree. I don't think anyone's trading for Brandon Aiyuk because I think it would be an expensive trade without knowing that they're going 4 years, 120 with the guy, which he would take, by the way. You go to Hermit Rob. Shout out Hermit Rob. Note for the previous mailbag. Because Hermit Rob was the one that had the comment about Dominique Hampton and seeing shades of Sean Taylor. Remember that? Mm-hmm. I played free safety for 8 years as a youngin. Let's be clear. I'm not saying Dominique is Sean Taylor. I'm saying his play style is very similar.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Cut from the same mold as it were. Only one Sean Taylor. Okay, yeah. Hermit's like, yo, guys, Amit, KDot, shut up. That's not what I meant. Okay? So he's just setting the record straight and appreciate that, Hermit Rob. There's more.
I don't think we went full tilt with that, dude.
Well, he may have felt that way, clearly. Wow. He's correcting, or he's like, guys, this is what I meant.
All right, well, I just want to let him know. Like, we weren't. No, we
No, I know. We're good with Hermit Rob. Hermit Rob's good with us. We know that. Sure. There's more to the comment. And I'm with Amit. Although KDot is right, he may have had a fine or two, but Sean would have adapted to the rule changes.
Yeah.
He was a complete player, not a one-trick, hard-hit machine pony like Alvin Walton. He literally didn't record one tackle in his 6-year career. He just hit. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
That's dope.
This guy just hits people. Alvin Walton. Man, any thoughts there, kid? I know we sort of got into it a little bit.
Sean Taylor's speed and size makes him a freak. And it also means like he could play in the box if you need him to play in the box because of the physicality aspect of it, right? But then he could also, his range as far as at free safety, being able to pick up anything and be able to have the height over pretty much anybody to do the same thing. Like, it would have been. Do I think Sean Taylor could have absolutely adapted because of just how freakishly talented he was? Yeah. I'm just saying that, like, the Sean Taylor that I saw, the relentlessness that he played that put him on that other tier, it's hard for me to see. To me, in
He's
all
just
honesty,
special, man. He would have done it.
But here's the thing: I look across the league right now, right? You think about that era that Sean Taylor played in, the previous era, right? So like we look at like Sean Taylor, Troy Polamalu, Ed Reed, that let's say from 2000, anytime before, let's say like 6-7 years ago. Are there any safeties that really puts the fear of God in you anymore?
The fear of God, I mean, no.
And I thought that there was a period of time where there was a lot of that. So like
well, I guess God, who was the safety that got suspended after not Kareem Jackson, was it?
Oh,
you probably would, but that was blatantly illegal. Not Kareem Jackson.
Denver.
Raheem Moore. No, not Raheem Moore. He was the one who missed against Baltimore.
It was Denver. It was Denver.
Yeah, maybe it was Kareem Jackson. I don't want to sully the wrong name, but I want to say it was Kareem Jackson.
It might have been.
This is the hit on Logan Thomas. You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
He hit someone else later in the season.
Yeah.
So yeah, he would be the only one putting the fear of God in me because it would be a blatantly illegal hit, and he's going for my head.
But the thing, I don't think that. While I don't think Sean was a dirty player, although
no, he wasn't. We're gonna do this again. Nope, he wasn't. There's no Aldo. There's no Aldo. We're gonna go on to the next comment, unless you really want to push through with that.
I love Sean Taylor. The Brian Moorman hit's a little crazy.
Dude, it's the Pro Bowl. They're just having fun. And he hit him chest height is fine. You don't run a big punch.
I watch that highlight all the time.
When Sean Taylor's on the field.
I watch that highlight.
Blame the coordinator.
Look, I'm saying this amongst us. I ain't speaking out against the family, all right? This is us together, safe space, Commanders fans together.
It is.
The Moorman hit's a little fucking crazy. It's a little fucking crazy.
I'm good with it.
It's
the Pro Bowl. He gave the people what he wanted. It's probably the most memorable moment of the Pro Bowl in the last 20 years.
No doubt. But it's a little nuts.
Thank you,
It's
Sean.
a little nuts.
It's awesome.
It's a little nuts.
Awesome. Morbid tapped him on the helmet after. He's a good hit.
Here's I don't even want people to comment on it because I think people believe with me, but I understand that we don't need to have these conversations outside the family.
That stadium conversation, more power to you. Appreciate it. It's just you and me right now, bud. Okay, so the Brian.
I want to drop a Godfather reference, but I don't know if
maybe we'll just do an entire episode where we break down the play. I'm like, see, it's fine. You're like, no, it's not. We just do that. We go over to Slim Sleazy, 49-47 facts. So there's a timestamp on this. I'm going to try and click it and see what's being discussed. Hold on 1 second. I need to turn up the volume. Let me know if you can hear this.
Okay.
Give them, they fit for an era. They fit specifically for an era. Troy Polamalu fits for that era. Troy Polamalu also be a guy that get fucking that would
wow.
Break for that era. You plays 10 years later, you're getting fined, Bob. Like there's Sean Taylor exists is that perfect moment of when it is the league played a certain way.
This is coming in clean for you?
Yeah, it's coming in pretty good.
I wish he would have played the rest of his career. But if it was Sean Taylor now today. That dude would have to, he'd be more of that hybrid safety linebacker, I think, playing around because you wouldn't trust him not to want to level fucking receivers. Go ahead
All right, well, Slim Sleazy is on your side there, KDot.
Wonderfully timed.
That actually was wonderfully timed. That is crazy.
I
actually had no idea. Like, this is the joy of being a touch on underprepared for some shows. Like that was just clean, along with real progress in action earlier. We go over to Mr. Payne 134. Shout out Slim Sleazy for a perfectly timed comment.
That was awesome.
Mr. Payne 134. Wait for free agency next year, just like KDot is talking about, and would be my ideal situation as well. Right. We can evaluate this year and bring in Aiyuk next year. If the Niners decide to go all in, and that means, once again, looking at their contracts and looking at the cap space, and I know that it keeps going up. I don't think it's going to go up enough that they can pull off Aiyuk and Purdy. I do think Aiyuk would potentially walk or be franchised next year. You think he's making noise this offseason? Imagine what happens if he gets franchised next offseason. Like, this guy's going to lose his mind. Like, I think they will not go through another offseason of this. So we'll see. But I think you do get that year. It is quite enticing to see how Jahan does, how Luke does. And then you can figure out if you want Aiyuk at that point.
And that's it. I understand from San Francisco's standpoint because, like, Purdy without Aiyuk does not sound as intriguing or as good to me. And I'm a huge Purdy guy.
Yeah. And even Orlovsky was mentioning just how important Aiyuk is.
Yeah.
I know Orlovsky can sometimes be over the top, but I mean, he knows what he's talking about. Like, he's good. So we'll see. We go over to Jess Anta, shout out, who actually I believe has 2 comments on this video, but this one's not that long.
No.
Shout out Jess Anta. The whole Aiyuk story is cute, but it's not happening this year. Peters and this entire regime has shown nothing but patience. Why would Peters trade draft capital for Aiyuk when he could just get him in free agency in the next offseason with our new salary cap wizard? Don't forget, this is everyone's first year together. No one knows what this roster is going to look like. What happens if Dotson and McCaffrey put up better numbers than Aiyuk this season? I think I'm starting to get an idea of what a commander looks like. A smart and tough leader with an excellent work ethic and a great sense of awareness. Almost every draft pick was a captain, had a great work ethic and reputation. They all seem like they just get it. They are here to learn, work hard, be a good teammate, and compete. It doesn't seem too big for any of them, and they are grateful for the opportunity to share this shit. Well said, Jess. Thoroughly appreciate the comment there. I agree with basically everything. I would be shocked if Luke McCaffrey has a better numbers year than Aiyuk. I could see Han doing it, honestly, depending on what we do. But
I can't see it. But it's just because of position played and the targets you're going to get. It's just a numbers game to me. But I think we're talking all this Aiyuk stuff, and it's something that we said at the very beginning of the podcast. It is confirmed via multiple reports. Washington backed out of trade talks. They were having them, and they're no longer having them, which means we're right. As far as what it is they were trying to do, as far as being able to, it was not fitting what it is they did. Unless something drastically changes, we have our answer.
Correct. We go over to Be Well, and because we're getting another comment from Jess momentarily, but shout out, Jess. Appreciate the comment. I agree with most of it. I'm against it. This is Be Well 4467. Shout out. I'm against it. I really, really like Aiyuk, but I think the timing is wrong. A crude analogy, you're building a car and need a transmission, but you really love this top-of-the-line stereo system, but your budget is limited. If you can get a fantastic deal, great. But if you have to pay full price, his numbers look great, but that is a Shanahan offense. That is in a Shanahan offense with an offensive line anchored by a Hall of Famer and stacked offense in general. I still say O-line is priority, and that is the comment from Be Well 4467. Shout out. KDot, what do you make of that?
I drove a 1987 Oldsmobile Delta 88 Rome.
Oh, yes.
Red leather seats.
Here we go.
My sound system is worth 3 times the value of the car. You talked to the wrong guy.
So you do this.
I'm just saying, if for that
on that analogy, example, you're doing this. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I sold it to my cousin. My cousin's an asshole because he didn't pay me all that I asked for the car. He gave me half the money to disappear. But 2.5 weeks later, he calls me, upset with me. Thought, you know the transmission was gone? It's like, nah, I sold it to you in the shape that I sold it to. So apparently the transmission was gone, but that radio system.
You had no clue.
Dude, in the back seat, I had to have basically earbuds. Monster X, who's on our
Monsieur X, yes, absolutely.
He was afraid to sit in the back seat of that car because I could make your ears bleed.
Oh boy. Oh, you and my dad would get along very, very well, by the way. He's the same way. We go over to Stanley Roberts, 6669. By the way, Be Well, 4467. I do like the analogy. Just so happens that KDot would get the top.
I get where you're going for. Just that specific scenario.
It just doesn't work for him in terms of what you're going for. Stanley Roberts 6669. Shout out. No, hell no. Our wide receivers are already set. We don't need him. Enough said is the comment over there. Okay, so we've got a number of people saying, yeah, go get him. We got a couple like Jess Anto saying, no, don't do it. We got Be Well 4467. No, timing's not right. And we've got Stanley Roberts also going, no, we're good. Okay. So those are the comments there. And then we got Ninercast. Shout out Ninercast Tom. Okay. So we got a Niners perspective here. So these words carry a little more weight because we're getting it from the other perspective. Good discussion, guys. 2nd and 5th won't get Lynch to move. John Lynch. Yeah. He overinvests his ego in trade talks. Remember that he refused to trade Garoppolo because his price was not met and kept insisting on his price and never dealt him, to the detriment of the team. Aiyuk will be the same thing. No one is getting Aiyuk at a discount, and Peters knows this. If I'm Peters, I got creative and offer a 2025 second and a 2026 third. This was something we briefly chatted about if we were to own the team. My prediction, teams will try to get Aiyuk at a discount. Lynch will reject all of it, and Aiyuk stays on a fifth-year option and holds out for a few games. It'll probably get ugly. Wow. Okay. Appreciate the comment from Ninercast Tom there. That was actually a pretty informative comment there, because he's given us a bit of the history of John Lynch with Jimmy Garoppolo, thinking it will repeat itself with Brandon Aiyuk. The idea that he could hold out a few games and this could get ugly is a very intriguing one, KDot.
Which is why the one thing that we talked about last episode, and we didn't go too far on it, was the Peters Lynch connection.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, to me, knowing, I'd love to know, like, if I could just know what that trade off or what they were asking for that Washington backed out of, I'd love to know that. Because, like, how low was Peters going, or how much was at least Lynch asking for that Peters said, I'm not doing this? I get that Lynch would not be a dude who's going to offer a discount to anybody, but if he was going to offer to anybody, it'd be him, right? Especially with the whole, like we get this fucking deal done, we can shut Aiyuk the fuck up and maybe get something good. And here's your quarterback, got his best friend. Let's just fucking do this. I don't know, but I'd love to see what the ask was. I'd love to know what the ask was.
I'm willing to bet it was probably like a future one, because they knew we weren't going to trade pick 2, because this was before the draft, right? So I'm willing to bet he probably goes, give me a 2025 1 and a 2025 like 4.
Well, you know, if I'm being completely honest, I had not. Was it confirmed that they were saying that was before the draft?
It was before the draft.
It was before the draft, because I remember the rumors initially started before the draft, but when they came out saying that we had the trade discussions,
okay, that makes sense. Before the draft, yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. Okay. So shout out Ninercast Tom for a very, very informative comment there. Appreciate it. Go ahead, get up. Got something there?
No, if that's the case, then I'd open up conversations again.
That's exactly the point. So, like, now it becomes interesting, because now you've seen Jaden with the guys. What do you think? Can you trust him? And that was the aspect of can you trust him that we were talking about last week.
Well, it's not that. It was just if he was asking for something that was happening in that draft. Now that it's over, those picks are non-existent.
Right. And now this stuff's happening.
Right. What do you want now? Like, just what are you looking for? Like, I just want to know.
Are you at the same point? Yeah. And
I'd be surprised if they were having the conversation before the draft. I'd be shocked if they haven't had one after.
That's exactly what I'm thinking too. I'm willing to bet, if I had to bet, right? If BetMGM or FanDuel, whomever, put out odds, have they spoken yes or no, and you get a clean answer to it, my money would be on yes. They've spoken after the draft as well. Maybe in the last few days, honestly. I'm sure Adam's like, what the hell is going on with your boy? Like, you know, I'm sure something at the very least casual has occurred.
Yeah.
And we'll see. Back to Allison Lombard and UG. Couple comments here. The few times that I saw Terry off ball, I saw Debo with better hands. Combine him with Aiyuk and get Daniels half as efficient and consistent as Purdy, and the team suddenly becomes dangerous. I will agree, because when Terry does get the ball in his hands, he's got that sort of burst, and he's really hard to tackle. That does have some Debo Samuel in him. What do you think, KDot?
Run back any fucking video that we did pre any game or post game last year. I kept begging, just get the ball to Terry. It does not have to be a deep route. I want to see more screens. I want to see reverses with Terry. I just want him with the ball in his hands. I don't think he's as rough and tumble as Debo, but maybe that's just because I haven't seen enough. But he definitely got. I think he's got better hands than Debo. I'd definitely say that.
Oh, for sure.
But he does strike me as like a tough guy, and like you've seen him take certain hits and all kind of things, and just come running right back. Like, if I'd love to see more of that, because I do think that there's more to it than we have seen.
Dude, for Terry to be as professional as he's been through all the different quarterbacks, through ownership change, through like all this, that speaks to the toughness more than him taking a hit. Honestly, like, I mean, think about it. That is the emotional toll and mental toll that must take on him, along with all the physical hits he's taking, with all this uncertainty and this dark cloud all the while, and he's still showing up and being consistent every single fucking day. Like, this guy is as tough as they come. Like, he's our guy. I don't know.
I have a take on that, but we could talk about it after the pod.
Sure.
If you want.
Yeah. Let's hold that after the pod. Okay. And one more from Allison. Shout out. If the coaching staff does what it did in its last stop, it is giving the double middle finger to the meta. Duo and inside zone are the least explosive runs, and single high is dying for a reason. For the record, a Seattle 3 defense, cover 3 drop zone, could be successful in Washington with massive talent upgrades at corner. Gilmore. If AP is trying to recreate San Fran's offense and Seattle's defense, things could be interesting. You got a thumbs up as well. KDot, what do you make of that comment?
I get that there's some uncertainty about the defensive backs right now, but I think as far as like that, if you're talking specifically cover 3, I do think they have some of the pieces in the. I'm wondering if one of these dudes is going to step up, because that's all I need to see.
Mm-hmm. One of these dudes, which dudes?
One of the guys that we have already. Just to take a step. Like, to me, St. Juice has a lot of that. Like, where it's like I think he could take another step. Mm-hmm. I put a lot on this coaching staff to be able to develop the guys we have, because I think that there's talent here.
So I just want to be clear. So when you're talking about dudes, you're probably talking about dudes that were here last year. So like a St. Juice, Daquan Martin, Derek Forrest, Emmanuel Forbes, one of those. Okay.
Specifically corner.
Specifically corner. So that would exclude Forrest, but you get Quan. They did a little bit both with him last year, but more safety, I guess. Okay. So it's going to be either Forbes or St. Juice or someone like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they've got a lot of rangy guys.
Yeah. Oh, no, certainly. I mean, there's length of defensive back. Like, again, they drafted Emmanuel Forbes to be a ball hawk. St. Juice also long arms, right?
Yeah.
So, like, yeah. No, it's interesting. I do think a zone could be quite nice, but we'll see what Joe Witt, Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, because, again, these guys will come up with on defense. We go over to, and shout out Allison for all the comments there. Go over to the Nathan Perry. Shout out Nathan Perry from Ref the District. Appreciate it. KDot is doing a fantastic job with the graphics. I'm inspired to spice up Ref the District with the work he's been putting in. For the next mailbag, we've had a bunch of end of the roster guys to fall in love with over the years. Who will be this year's player that everyone falls in love with during camp and preseason, but barely makes the roster or even the practice squad? That is an excellent question. That is an excellent question. Ooh.
I don't know if I have a specific guy. I'd probably look at like position groups, and maybe you have one of those dudes to kind of step out. So like tight end or running back to me are probably the two that scream.
So Armani Rogers was a name that came to mind for me.
Yeah.
Just because we brought in Ben Sinnott. We have.
But they got another dude with a weird name at tight end. It's like yes, we do. Colson Yankoff.
Yeah. And then we of course have Cole Turner. So one of those tight ends, I'm willing to bet makes a play during camp.
I think it's Rogers
in preseason. I think Armani Rogers is the guy because he won over a lot of people. So
he's explosive looking, man. Like
yeah. So I think Armani Rogers is probably the first name that came to mind for me. First name that came to mind for KDot. But that's a really good question, and we may spend some more time on that, honestly, Nathan. Actually, Nathan, when we have you on the show, we can discuss this. I think that would be really fun because I'd be curious as to your take as well.
When does training camp start?
July 13th or 11th.
We have Nathan on like training camp prep, like what to look for.
That sounds great. Okay, so that would be next week. I think that would work. We'll check with him. Otherwise, we just outed ourselves. If it doesn't work, we're like, oh, you didn't want to come. So we go over to what do we have here? JLD 593. Shout out. Not a Washington fan, but I think Aiyuk would be a great fit for everyone in DC. So that's another vote for Aiyuk. I'm not going to stop for every single comment just because we're doing that, but we're tallying votes here. So appreciate that comment there. JLD 593. You got Big Papa Grizzly. Shout out. Final 3 comments here. I 1000% make the trade for Aiyuk if the price is right. A player and a third I'd be okay with. So maybe a Jahan and a third, for example. Even a second, if that's all they want. Oh, I'd love that. You see how special reuniting Burrow and Chase was in Cincinnati? That could be Daniels and Aiyuk. However, if you are feeling cautious, then how about this? Trade for a mid-season once you've had a chance to evaluate all the talent you have. At that point, if the coaches feel we need him, go get him. If not, let it ride until free agency. Either way, they need to go get that man. When I combine that final point, KDot, if I could go first on this, with what NinerCast Tom was saying, let's say he holds out the first few games, a midseason trade is actually a possibility. It's not something that I would necessarily expect this group to do just because it's year one. We're just looking at what we've got. We're giving reps to younger guys, but it is an intriguing thought. And I also want to say we've heard Burrow chase a few times, right? And I think it's an awesome example. I think there are so many things that Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels mirror each other on. They're both LSU QBs. They both had excellent wide receivers that went on to produce big and beautiful things in the NFL and have, right? In Jefferson and Chase, for example. We'll see with Brian Thomas and Neighbors. But I will say this, Burrow, albeit he did tear his ACL his first season, did not have Chase and did establish many relationships with other people, had that entire year, then they draft Jamar. So that when does fit with what we would like to do ideally. I just wanted to point that out. Go ahead, KDot.
I don't disagree with you. I'm trying to figure out why it is that Jahan thing fits so wonderfully in my head. But I think if you're San Francisco and you have the leverage of which you do have, and you want to sit at home. You know, the fines and everything they have now make it almost impossible for you to do that. And if you want to be a locker room problem, I don't think that's going to work out well for you, not in that locker room. There's some interesting there's some interesting things in the NFL right now. Buffalo, what's happened as far as their wide receiver position after getting rid of Diggs? Kansas City, what's going on with them? The Rashee Rice situation, to me is like if you're one of those two teams in the AFC, totally different conference, and year starts off not a lot of chemistry working, we need to make the upgrade. Do you say fuck it? We're Super Bowl contenders and we can upgrade this position, and say fuck, I'm just gonna go.
Yeah,
I think
I don't think the Chiefs do. I think the Bills do.
I think the Chiefs are going to be in a more position to do so this year than they ever were last year because I don't think Kelce can be what he was. I think you're going to see diminishing returns on Travis Kelce each and every year.
I just don't know that we see Brett Veach swinging like that. I'm trying to think about other stuff he's done. And nothing's really...
to me, it was only if it looks ugly. Like if it looks really ugly.
Okay.
And then at that point, like even if I'm Mahomes at that point, like Mahomes hasn't really done anything to use his power, which kind of kudos, credit to you. But if I'm at that point, I'm probably Mahomes. Like y'all motherfuckers need to get me somebody that can play.
Yeah. Well, they did get Hollywood Brown, your favorite.
I don't hate it for them. But
no, you don't have to hate it for them. They also drafted Xavier Worthy, fastest guy in the NFL draft ever, based on the 40 time. So, they added a couple pieces over there. So
they're
just want to say,
it.
I will say this. I think Aiyuk is an absolutely phenomenal fit on both Baltimore and Buffalo. Because when you talk about him, he is one of the best blocking wide receivers in the NFL, if not the best. That is true. Yeah. I know I made the jokes about fantasy football because I was burned at the time, but damn it, this guy is a very, very good blocking wide receiver. Baltimore, I know they're passing more, but their identity is still what it is, man. They run. And they got Derrick Henry now. That's there. Ever since, I want to say it's Joe Brady was the offensive coordinator in Buffalo. Once he took over for Ken Dorsey and they started running more than ever, they found something. And Aiyuk would fit that perfectly. And if they're doing play action off of that, he's going to get space. So like to your point about Buffalo, if I'm them, I'm being aggressive about it. I want him, but we'll see what happens. We'll also see. It seems like, to NinerCast Tom's point, keep going back to it because it's an awesome comment from the Niners perspective. It's going to be quite the asking price, at least right now. Any final thoughts before we move on to the final two comments here?
It's thoughts about Buffalo and Baltimore, but it don't really matter.
Yeah, fair enough. We go over to Allison Lombard, New G. One more. Watching film is like reading the Bible. Do it long enough and it will tell you whatever you want it to. It's a fun comment there.
You know all about that. Washington Christ or whatever the fuck you want
Well,
to name it.
Rose on a Sunday. Anyway, we'll leave that as an aside. I actually do this with March Madness data. I pull my own and I'll stare at the numbers long enough until it tells me what I wanted to tell me. And oftentimes it's wrong, but when it hits, oh, does that feel good? And no, I'm not talking about Coke. We go over to Jess Anto.
There's no better liar to
final
themselves in the attic.
comment of the episode. Shout out Jess Anto. There's a few things I noticed no one is talking about. Give it to us, Jess. It seems like Aiyuk is taking advantage of Daniels. I get Jaden is helping his buddy out, but the way Aiyuk is handling the contract negotiations is immature and tarnishing Jaden's immaculate entrance into the league. The entire team genuinely likes Mariota, and apparently he's been excellent with Daniels. I believe Eugene Chen was hired to help Harris handle the roster and cap while Rivera was in charge. I think he was more in an advisory position, similar to Myers and Spielman. That's Rick Spielman and Bob Myers, respectively, in helping hire the new front office and coaching staff. Austin Eckler is in heaven in this market. He's had to have done like 35 interviews. I've seen like 4 of them myself. I saw a clip of Big Phil Mathis. He's lost a ton of weight and was moving like a madman. He might have a complete 180 turnaround. I still have doubts about the offensive tackles, but I think this is going to be a run-first offense that gets the ball out quickly. They will be schemed into becoming good. Also, the threat of Daniels' legs will keep the pass rush at bay the way RG3's did. Great job on the clips, graphics, and animations, KDot. Love the Daniels jersey, Amit. Share this shit. That's a hell of a comment, and I think one that makes a couple of very, very good points. KDot, what do you make of it?
It's hilarious you were questioning where I got the photo of you in a Daniel shirt, and Jess is even pointing it out in the fucking comment.
Okay, but that's because last time I went like this, I was like, I got it. It's Jay Daniel shirt. You're right.
I don't think so. I alluded to a little bit of because that was the first time I thought that I was bringing something kind of new as far as the Daniels Aiyuk thing. In the sense of like it's starting to feel like somebody might be getting a little used as far as some leverage sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's reached a point of anything wrong yet. I'm not even gonna say yet. I don't think it's reached that point. I don't think it will. If it does, it'll be first in line right there with you, Jess, that like, all right, it's getting a little ugly. I am not one to tell anybody what is professional, not professional as far as trying to get your money, especially when you play a sport in which they will throw your ass out of this fucking league as fast as humanly possible if you get hurt or this, that, and the other. I'm not putting that on them. If I was risking my life, it's something that I thought that that I could absolutely know that I was being fucking underpaid to do so. I don't think I'm doing it anymore. And I think the choice that I have in my job or any job outside of football or professional sport is I could probably go find it somewhere else and not have to risk my fucking life to do so. So, that be it. It's like, I'm careful as far as some of the criticisms for some of the players when they're in contract disputes. Cause I understand it. I get them for the most part. I usually side with them for the most part. And I think that like, to what degree you'll go about it. I don't think Aiyuk's doing anything crazy. I think he's being too honest for people. And that's why I'm really, I think even though I think this conversation for the most part is kind of deaded after we had heard about it's confirmed that they were in trade talks and they backed out.
Yeah, Schefter more or less put a bow on it.
I think we will be talking about this again after the pivot pod comes out. And I'm really interested to see that because I think he's just too brutally honest. And to me, it's like I look at Aiyuk and the way that him and Jaden communicate and talk. Some of my more problematic text threads or text groups I'm on, some people being very anti-PC and un-PC about their relationship in the sense of like these boys might be. I just think they're a new crop of dudes. They're probably more vulnerable, a little more honest than most people were willing to be or were used to. I don't think Aiyuk is doing anything completely crazy.
No, I agree with you. I don't think he's doing anything crazy. I will say this. He has been making noise since the moment the Super Bowl was done. Like the moment the Super Bowl was done, I don't remember if he had a brother or was it a cousin or something like that. Maybe it was his girlfriend. I don't remember who, but there were some rumblings about the Las Vegas Raiders. and saying we will go somewhere else if we don't feel appreciated. That was like, I think the day after the Super Bowl or something like that. So this has been going on for quite some time. I'm sure it's exhausting for the San Francisco 49ers. To an extent, it's exhausting me a little bit, and it's only been a couple of weeks, right? But it's also the only thing we have. There's no practices going on, stuff like that. So it's like the main sort of point, if you will. I don't think he's done anything wrong yet. I think it has been a long summer for him. We're getting the Pivot podcast soon, so that's going to be must watch if just as an NFL fan in general, but also as a Commanders fan. Niner Cast Tom, will be watching that as well. Probably get a lot of good sound bats from that one. Maybe Jaden in the background, he's like, oh, he's right there. Look at him. He's cool. So we'll see. But that was the Comment Mailbag. This was the show. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And if you liked it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot.
Share this shit. Share it. You know what to do.
You know what to do. Share this shit. We greatly appreciate you guys for listening. Over 90 minutes of an episode here. How about that? After the pod begins right now.
We fucking have a 90-minute episode after wondering we have nothing to talk about.
Well, oftentimes that's when the rambling kicks in, right? We start getting creative, actually. So at least for me, there tends to be an inverse relationship between I have nothing and the amount of time spent. So that's an easy way to know if I'm bullshitting, by the way. If I start talking to you for like 8 minutes straight, you're like, this motherfucker has no idea what he's talking about. Like,
my phone keeps blowing up because the presidential debate's happening while we're recording.
Oh, right.
I think it just ended. But my phone just keeps blowing up on that. But in all honesty, I guess I'll watch it, but I don't know.
I'm not excited about it, dude. Like, I mean, not to get into politics or whatever, but just like, we've seen this. It'll get closer to time. Twitter will show the hilarious bits and just move on. I mean, yeah, depressing state right now in politics. It's crazy. Like how? Yeah, we're getting there, I guess. They're both so old, dude. Both of them. They're both so fucking old. It's crazy.
So many hot takes about all this shit. But yeah, no, that's it is. It's symptomatic of a lot of issues, which is there's not enough people that are in touch with the American populace making decisions anywhere. It goes from your manager or your boss at most jobs. Mm-hmm. It goes to Congress as a whole. It goes to everywhere. You have people that, like, if the idea that like you knew what it was like being 40 years old 40 years ago is nuts to me. Like, it's like you're so out of touch with like anything that's going on with so many people and what it is that they have to deal with or contend with in daily life.
Right.
I don't know how we allow that to continue to happen. And I get it. I respect wisdom. I do.
Yeah.
But there also has to be some sort of connection between like the reality, what the fuck is going on compared to the people that we have in all these positions of power. And it's fucking,
dude. I mean, think about it. The retirement age is 65, right? Mm-hmm. Trump is 78. Biden will be 82 in November. And these are the people that are going to be running the country. Like, this is the top. Like, it's just nuts. Like, it's just nuts.
Look, I'm definitely not voting for one of these guys. No doubt. But the, fuck one of these guys. Straight up. Yeah. The other guy, if he was my grandfather, I'd take his driver's license, let alone let him run the fucking country. Like,
it's nuts, dude. I feel like we need a third party so badly, like an organized third one. It's just, it's just a very easy generalism to make. I recognize that. I hear the sigh.
No, it's because I want to touch the third rail, but
our choices suck, dude.
All right, let me keep it reined in.
Sure.
Third party could work better than it currently works in our current state. It's just that the American people and the populace have no idea what the fuck they're doing with it. There is a case to be made that you can absolutely have a third party within this particular system, but it has to work with a good line of communication happening between the general populace. And
Mhm.
this is what I mean. You're a Washington, D.C. resident. I'm a Maryland resident.
Yes.
There is no reason we shouldn't be able to vote third party. And
Mhm.
the reason being is that we know where the places we live are going to go in the presidential election. But what it means is that, like, if you're going to vote third party, it's communicating with somebody that you know that lives in an area that is on the fence to make sure that they're voting for the other particular thing.
Yeah.
To have the third party actually be a legitimate candidate and it allows platforms to change. It allows debate stages to change.
Mhm.
We just don't do it as strategically as we need to. And the thing is that what you hear constantly is talk from both sides, both political parties, that don't want a third party. They don't want to change. They continue to bash people about how it's a waste of your vote. And that's not true in all cases. They blame you if you vote third party into saying you cost the election for the good guy. And it's like, in some cases, yes, that's true.
But in my case, it definitely isn't, because DC is going down no matter what. So I can vote third party and at least signal, hey, this isn't good enough.
And we need to be doing stuff like that.
Yeah,
like, that's
exactly.
the thing that people need to get a handle on, is that, like, that's a legitimate thing. My only problem with the third party candidacy that's occurred fairly recently is that I have a lot of people that end up going third party that I think kind of care about themselves more than they care about their actual positions. RFK Jr. is somebody who I have a lot of fucking criticisms for, and I think they're valid fucking criticisms. I don't want him being president, but I also know a lot about his story. I know a lot about what he's done to get to the position he's in right now. There's a lot of stuff I look to him and I say he's a goddamn hero in some sense. But there's always this angle that what I hear from him every once in a while that's like, yeah, I don't think you're that much different than the status quo. And I also don't think, I think there's a part of you that's ego driven to a level at which I can't have that if you're going to be the third party candidate. You have to strip your ego from it if you're going to be a third party candidate. It's got to be about the policy issues. It's got to be about, the way I'd say it is like healthy populism. It's like what Bernie Sanders taps into. It's what Trump taps into. The only thing, in my opinion, what Trump does is he taps into it and then does the okie doke, which is that he tells you he's on your side, poor American lower middle class. And at the same time, he's going to be the same guy that stabbed you in your fucking back through every policy decision he has. And you're just either brainwashed by it or whatever.
People seem to be pretty chill with it.
But that's also because I don't think majority of the American people know what the fuck the president actually does. I don't think most of the American people know what they're responsible for and not responsible for. And I don't think they understand, like, I honestly don't think Americans as a whole have a good pulse on what's happening with the country.
I was talking to, I forgot who I was talking to about this, but thought about the idea of you and I like live streaming on election day and just doing a satirical map and just a lot of what ifs and stuff like that. I think that could be kind of fun.
If you get me talking about politics long enough, I'm born and raised Washingtonian like you. We were raised around the shit. The amount of days that I spent when I used to work downtown, and the amount of friends I had that work in Capitol Hill, the amount of friends that I had that I used to go get drunk with at Elephant and Castle or Hawk and Dove and all that shit. Like, there's a part of you that kind of understands the game of it all. There's a part of you that gets to a point where you're upset about that part of it because you know how many real life people are affected by it.
Yep.
There's a part of you wants to like throw the whole fucking system away. There's a part of you that kind of loves part of the game just because you've been around it. There's a part of you that like, or at least understands the game or how to play it. But I would say I can't help but become extremely passionate about this. So I was talking to a friend, Brendan, last week. I was screaming into the phone at him, like screaming, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And the reason being, and this is me kind of touching the third rail at least a little bit. So like I'm a liberal, or what we consider a liberal Democrat, that has a lot of issues with liberal Democrats. I specifically have a lot of issues with white liberal Democrats, I'm being completely honest. And the reason being is that when I talk to him sometimes and he tells me about how like it almost feels as though he thinks he comes from a position of having an enlightened or a higher sense of his opinion because he feels he can be objective about something. And my counter to that is that the whole entire conversation about being objective is kind of horseshit most of the time. I want to know you have personal stakes. I want to know that it's not just a game to you. Like the idea that there's a good chunk of the country right now that will not be affected, not one iota, regardless of whoever the fuck wins in November.
Yep.
But there's a large swath of the population that will be directly under the boot, depending on who fucking gets elected. And one side gets to treat it as like there's a large part that just gets to treat it like a game. It's the same way I have problems with a lot of the fucking protesters that just do shit. I'm like, you don't really give a fuck. This is all clout for you. You can't even be honest with yourself about it. Most of it's just fucking performative shit because they won't actually do anything that actually costs them anything. Like there's no self-sacrifice in any of it. They just want to feel as though they have a higher enlightened sense of anything. It fucking pisses me off. I get that a lot more with liberals than I ever do with fucking conservatives, and it makes me angry. Because I was talking to Brandon about this. Did you know that demographically, if you honestly look at it, Dave Chappelle actually had a bit about this, whereas that like outside of people that actually did it by choice, in Washington, D.C. for decades, there were no technically poor white people.
No, I did not know that.
Think about this. You've lived in D.C. your entire fucking life. Name a poor white person you know that didn't do it for art reasons or their mommy and daddy had fucking money and decided to move to the city for a minute.
Yeah, I can't.
You can't. You can't. And they all think they're on my side. You're not on my side.
I see what you're saying.
The moment that you over there on that side of the park decide to vote for instead of single family housing, how about we do multifamily? How about we okay some Section 8 housing? Well, no. That hurts my property value.
Right.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. And you're not going to speak to me with some sort of moral high authority over a conservative or something. I give them credit for at least being honest with me. They ain't doing the performance throwing a fucking dashiki and let me know or change a profile picture on fucking Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck that. I kind of appreciate honesty from motherfucker that ain't on my side. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. I get passionate about this shit because it affects me.
Well, also because I think there's this aspect to it too, KDot, that you can. I don't know if this is a human condition or if this is just how I feel, and feel free to disagree. I connect more with honesty than anything else. You can feel when someone's being honest, even if they're disagreeing with you, at least you know where they stand. And that feels nice. There's that aspect. It's respect. There you go. So I know that even if you and I disagree, I'm like, okay, but at least I know where you stand. I know who you are.
I can plan for it.
Yes.
I can plan for it. If you tell me this is my position, this is what I think, this is what I'm going to do. Cool. I know where you're at. I can fuck with you in certain ways. I ain't fucking with you in other ways. I'm going to keep my distance from you. I know where you're at. The other side is, I'm on your side. I just want the best for you. I want this, that, and the other. And when push comes to shove, stab me right in the fucking back.
You won't see me there, right? Or worse. Like, right. Yeah, exactly.
So like, the thing that people like, my least favorite day of the year is Martin Luther King Day. Least favorite day of the year.
Based on everything you've said so far, I could absolutely see
why.
Bro,
the amount of motherfuckers that have not the slightest idea what he actually stood for blows my mind. What he thought about moderates, what he thought about liberal whites, what he thought about conservatives, what he thought about economic equality. He was basically a fucking communist. And I got a bunch of conservatives want to I have a dream. He wanted you to not look at color and the content of your fuck you. Like, I hate that shit. And there's nothing that actually brings me one other thing. And I know I'm making a lot about color, but to me, it's more economic than it is anything else.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's more economic. And the thing is, if you look here, you study the economics, you know, I got to stop. But before I'm going to say this.
We'll end it on this. Go ahead.
There's certain things that I always wonder why I don't see. You're a data guy.
I am.
it's hard for me to find this data. Anybody in the comments that are still with us, please point it out or show it to me if you got an opportunity to. I don't understand why I can't simply look up the cross references between the impact that economic level, population density, just those two things, have on everything else. Crime, health, all this other kind of shit. I just want those two things, population density and poverty levels, and what that means for as far as anything else. I never see it anymore.
So if you establish a relationship, so I'm going to ask a couple questions here.
Yeah.
So if you establish how are you defining population density? It's just population within a certain amount of square miles or something? Like,
that's literally it.
Cool. Okay. So that's your population density, and you had mentioned poverty rate, and it's going to be within that same
I just
area.
want to see the cross. I want to see those two things
right
where they cross on the map on each different kind of demographic, right? And then what that means as far as what I can do predictively to tell you what that means as far as crime rate, what I can tell you predictably that means as far as all kinds of shit.
Oh no, that should be doable. I don't see why that wouldn't be doable.
You think so? Do me a favor. Personally, even off the pod.
Yeah,
do some research on that for me. Sure. I promise you, you're gonna end up it seems so fucking easy.
Straightforward, right? Yeah. I would imagine.
I'm telling you right the fuck now, you're gonna struggle a lot more than you think you should be able to. And it's the reason that I've always thought that, like, it's those sorts of things that should just be in a political platform, right? It's the same thing. Like, I look at poor people. The reason I talk about poor black people more than I talk about poor white people is that it affects us completely differently. Most of us poor black people in these urban centers, higher cost of living than it is you have as far as no usual land ownership that you kind of have in the rural areas, right? And the fact is, if you got a bunch of fucking poor people on top of each other, guess what happens? Crime, motherfuckers. Yep. So when they talk about what's happening in big cities and this, that, and the other, like, motherfucker, I lived in podunk-ass Virginia. I know what the meth has in trailer parks do. Don't fucking get it twisted. And I tell you right now, if 1 million of some bitches lived in a city together, you see the exact same shit. Okay. But they don't do that. They never want to show me that. Why? Because it's too simple. It's too fucking simple a thought process, but nobody has it. Okay. Nobody thinks about it.
I'll look into that. I'll see if my wisdom tooth gets pulled, and if it does, I'll have some time. So
and here's what I say: I have a motto that I live by in this country. American individualism is a suicide pact, and if you want to unpack that and figure out what the fuck it is I mean by it, I mean it through and through, and it's what I think about this country more than any other thing. American individualism is a suicide pact, and we are jumping off the cliff together.
All right, cool. And so this is what happens when we don't have content. So this where we go. No, but actually, I appreciate that. Maybe we have a conversation about that because I'm curious at least. But we're at the hour 52-minute mark, so we're gonna go. We will talk to you guys later. We'll see you next Friday 2 p.m. So until then, take it easy.
I see.
It's better.
Bye, everybody.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.